never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battles. Fallen one too many times. Feeling like another.
Well, hello. I'm back. And I'm back with Kyalami. So now, I promise I remember everything, what to do, how to do it. And we got race control up, we got ACC up. People are currently doing practice. Got just like a minute of practice left, more or less. So we'll have to see how that goes. Before we jump into ACC for tonight, I'd like to remind you all we are affiliated with Rogue Energy. Use code PHX at checkout for 10% off of your order. I did not update the game source. I promise I'm not rusty at this at all. There it is, ACC. We are end of free practice. We are now heading in for the race. It's Kyalami, which is going to be interesting because the last Kyalami race we had, it was actually meant to be a rain race for our last Kyalami race. So, looks to see how it goes for this one. This race tonight will be 90 minutes long, so we've got 15 minutes of qualifying and 90-minute long race around Kyalami in the night, which will be a lot of fun. So we'll have to see what our drivers can do. There we go. Session has been sorted out for the race. Let's get race control up so I can see every driver and every mistake they have ever made. There we go. Got an unusually small grid this afternoon. We've only got ourselves 20 drivers for tonight. Oh, this afternoon, sorry. But it's still 20 drivers. That's going to give us a lot of excitement and a lot of good racing. I'm only just noticing. We do have a few names missing. I don't see Shanae in the list. He's still yet to join the session. Our champion from last season. We do have Oosby in here. Andrew Taggart, our the other co-owner, the founder of Phoenix Sim Sport. Jay Kelly, teammate to Oosby up in currently P2, but is still with everyone out on their out lap. Sorry. Cthulhu, Spinner, Ackerman. We've got a few names here that I've not recognized before. Oh wait, maybe this. I think this might be Shanae actually. Possibly. Yeah, this is Shanae. There we go. Philip Verlinsky. I hope I've pronounced that right, Shanae. There we go. We got our driver repping the number 1. He was the season champion for season 4. So he does have the right to run the number 1 on his car. We have a yellow flag already for Cthulhu going backwards. What happened here for Cthulhu? It is a very dark session. I might have to slap the brightness up. Oh, unfortunately, Cthulhu just touching the outside, just dipping into the grass there. Losing control of his car. Right ahead, we've got first person to drive across the line. Dimitri, I believe, was the first driver to cross the line on our hot lap. So he will set the first time on the screen for the drivers to beat for pole position. I actually have no clue what the lap times should be around this track, so I will be just as interested as you to see what they can produce. Still validated going through the second sector. Surprised he didn't actually invalidate it there. There's the right-hander where you'll see a good handful of drivers. I can't imagine everyone being able to get through that second to final corner smoothly. Now across the line, Dimitri with a 1:42.657 time to beat. Next across the line is Han, the 1:42.4, very close together between the two of them. Next across the line, we've got Chris and we've got Ludwig Beresford. I hope I pronounced that right. Now onto pole position at 1:41.8. Now we've got people crossing the line, all setting in their times. Oosby with the new fastest at 1:41.577. Oh, that car getting a little squirrely out of that corner. We've got Philip and Noah coming to the line now. Philip, first lap of the evening, or the afternoon, sorry. It's a 1:43.0. Ackman just close behind, 1/10 behind, a 1:43.1. Very close between the pair of them. Well, a massive improvement now by Chris. He's currently 3.5 tenths up and across the line. He does not improve position, but does improve his time nonetheless. Next cross, we actually got 3 drivers now to cross the line. We've got ourselves Gerlandi Haki, I hope I pronounced that right. Currently nearly just 7, 8, 9, nearly a second up on his previous time, so he's going to improve. Again, a few positions from 12th up to 10th, a good improvement. Andrew Taggart next across the line up into 9th place. Swiftly demoted, sorry, from 8th to 9th as Kelly puts in a 1:43.1. There should be sound. Okay. No worries, Ron. Had me slightly worried there. Have a look now. We got 2 drivers. We've got Philip. He's on a second hot lap. He's currently 1.5 seconds nearly up on his previous time. Now coming towards the line, keeps it valid and across. Improves up into 3rd place, just 3.5 tenths off of the pace. No worries, Roan. 3.5 tenths off of Oosby's time, a 1:41.9 by the BMW driver. Now repping his rightfully earned number 1 on the car. As Han crosses the line with a 1:42.2. Quite a few drivers still yet to set a bad lap time. I say that as another driver puts in a time and I didn't see who it was. It was Dimitro. I hope I pronounced that right. Putting in a 1:44.0, sitting in 13th place. Of a yellow flag. Literally just essentially getting out of the way for other drivers here. A lot of people are doing that, which is always good to see. It is a night race. It is very dark around Kyalami, and there are a lot of blind corners. First sector, you've got an uphill left-hander, if I recall correctly, that you got to be a little careful with, and then you've got some sharp right-handers, all on flat surfaces, but flat left and flat right can be blind corners if you are if the barrier deems it so. Can be fun. Okay, well, Shanae's just improved his time, and now for the first time, for the first time in all of the races I've ever streamed for Phoenix, we have two drivers on pole with identical times. Shanae and Ludwig with identical times, but now Ludwig crosses the line. He improves his lap time by 1/10. But for a moment there, Shanae and Ludwig were matching at a 1:41.437. That is incredible. They're now both matching first sector, and they are both matching third sector. So Shanae currently is losing his time in the middle sector. So we'll have to see what he can do on this next flying lap. Currently 2/10 up on his previous lap time. But Ludwig and Shanae, this is some very close competition between the two of them. Let's have a look with Shanae now, going through the towards the end of the second sector, now into the third sector. Can he improve? He's narrowly just behind on what he needs to improve by to take pole position. Question is now, he gets through those few corners. Now he's coming around the final corner to the line. He's got a massive improvement. He's 2/10 up, 1.5 up on his previous time. And across the line, Shanae takes the lead. Takes pole position in qualifying by just 18 thousandths of a second. And again, matches in the first sector, matching in the third sector, and only gains time in that second sector. That can't be right. I don't think this is updated. No, that is their best time. Their best time. Shanae has the only improvement in that middle sector. Alright, that bit's bugged. Wonderful. Have a look at where the rest of the drivers on the grid are going. We've got Vish, who set a banker lap. So he's got a 150 on the leaderboard. I imagine that will be to help with collecting delta time to work out if he's improving or not. Currently 9 seconds up, going from last to first, a 1:41.212 completely demolishes the time of Shanae. He's got an improvement of 8/100ths of a second in the first sector, matches Shanae in the second sector, and beats Shanae by, again, 7/10 of a second in that third sector. So an incredible lap time by the Mercedes driver. Oh, sorry, the Lamborghini driver. How dare I mix up those two cars? We have a bit of fighting here between two drivers. We've got Vish. If we look at relative, he's got Andrew just ahead of him. Unfortunately, Andrew's last lap was a 1:43, but it was an invalidated lap. So he has to keep this one within track limits, hopefully without impeding the driver behind. I think Vish, potentially, I can't tell if he's on a hot lap or not. Oh, that is a massive traffic jam. To that final corner, but Vish to the line, invalidated, unfortunately. Does improve though, but needs to be validated. He is still currently sitting in last place. Next across the line, we had Hand across the line. He did improve his time, unfortunately not enough to gain a position. He's still 6/10 back from Uzbi, just ahead as Carnelling gets his car up into 6th place. Not Carnelling, sorry, Kelly up into 7th place. Apologies. Yellow flag for the Audi, just getting out of the way of the drivers ahead. Who do we have next across the line? We've got Joel Carnelling, Team Cherno in that Ferrari. Ferrari is a very dominant car so far this season. Now rounding that final corner. Still an improved lap, improved by just 0.05 of a second there, but unfortunately does not gain position. He's still just 0.2 behind Han ahead of him in 5th place. Seems like qualifying has calmed down a bit now. A lot of drivers not really able to find a lot of time on the track. I say that as Carnelling already just halfway into the first sector, he's up by 0.3. And Noah Ackerman, who should be up there at the top of the standings, is currently sitting in 10th place. He's got a 0.5 second improvement into this 3rd sector. Let's see. Unfortunately, he does improve his time, but he doesn't improve it by much. Sitting now 13/1000ths of a second behind Chris. Unfortunately, not improving his position. Ackerman, very uncharacteristically slow around the track tonight, or this afternoon. I keep saying tonight, it's a night race. As Kelly now crosses the line, he does improve his time, but unfortunately does not gain a position in that lap. Here we got the one and only Spooky driving around. He's currently got a 1 second improvement going into towards the end of the 2nd sector. Previous lap time a 1:45.86, sitting in 19th place, and with his current improvement he will find himself up a few positions. The track rules are similar to F1 in some regard. In terms of your track limits, if you gain time, you will receive a warning. If you don't gain a time, however, unlike F1, you can be let off the hook. ACC, it is a lot of fun. You also have to take what I say with a grain of salt, because I am quite terrible at the game still. But it is a lot of fun. In terms of F1, you have that same competitiveness in terms of, different cars and setups have an aspect to play in who will get pole. Because whilst an Lamborghini will have the pace to be able to win on the straights, equally, let's say Ackerman likes his McLaren, the McLaren could be very good on the corners. And with F1, you've also got the setups and the driver skill to be able to help manage that. But unlike F1, you haven't got stuff like DRS and ERS, so it's purely down to your racecraft and your style of racing to get through the corners as efficiently and as quick as you can and around the drivers without causing incidents. I would recommend you having a chat with the ACC guys at Roden, because they will know a lot more about the game than I do. Hell, I probably even got the description I've just given you now probably very inaccurate. So I would definitely suggest actually to have a chat with them. But it is a fun game. I do thoroughly enjoy it. I race myself with my university on Monday evenings. I say that, and I do thoroughly enjoy it. Oosby with a new fastest lap with a 1/100th of a second improvement. That is an incredible lap by Oosby. Now a 1:41.2. Pardon me, tops the leaderboard. But yeah, no, I race on Mondays with my university, so I would definitely recommend chatting to the guys, because they'll know more. But it is on sale, so now's your chance to get the game, try it out. You've got the Steam policy, if it hasn't changed already, is you can play for up to 2 hours within 2 weeks of purchasing a game, and you can still refund it if you do not enjoy the game. So what I would suggest is, if you're happy to do that, perhaps you could purchase the game, join for a race or for some practice sessions, and see how you feel about the game. Now 2 minutes left. If you're in the pits, You've got yourself about 10 seconds to get out of the pits before you cannot really put in a lap time. Not unless you go across the grass and all that, but I can't imagine anyone wants to do that. Crossing the line, we got Vish now with a new fastest lap time. The first of our, I hope, many in the 140 region. A 149 now tops the timing sheets. Next across the line will be Uzbi with a 2/10 improvement. Narrowly misses out to get into the 140s. A 141.005, just 5/1000 of a second outside of that window. 7/10 off of the pace from pole. Next across the line, we have Gerlandi, unfortunately invalidating his lap time just towards the end of that lap. We've got Andrew as well. He's currently on a out lap, I believe. No, a hot lap. That was a hot lap. But unfortunately could not improve his time. Do have a few drivers coming towards the line. Unfortunately, none of them improving much time. Narrowly across the line. Dimitro does cross the line and improve. Unfortunately, does not improve position. God, this timing sheet is actually lighting up green. So many people are finding time. As Dimitri now crosses the line, 3/10 improvement, finds himself up into 6th place. Next, across the line, I believe, will be Shanae, currently improving by 2.5 tenths. I say that as Shanae just ahead, Vish just ahead of him coming around the final corner. Is improving a lot of time, but I don't think will improve in much time coming across the line now. Will remain on pole position. Shanae now crossing the line, also remains in 3rd place. No improvement there. Next across the line will be Spooky with an improvement. Cthulhu next with a 1/2 second improvement coming through the final few corners. Cthulhu with 1/2 second. 1/2 second improvement will find himself up by 3 or 4 positions. Currently in 14th place, now up into 12th place. Good improvement for the Audi driver. Next, we've got Ludwig. He's just within the thousandths, matching his previous time now coming through the final few corners. Can Ludwig find the time that he needs to improve and gain an additional position? Unfortunately, he loses about 1/10 into that final corner and does not improve for his final lap in qualifying. Next, across the line, we have Dimitro again. Just narrowly beating his previous time, but unfortunately will not improve by enough to gain a position. Alexander in the McLaren, he's got a 1/2 second improvement, across the line, and could not find a position up as Dimitri comes round towards the final corner and unfortunately invalidates his lap crossing the line. Now the only driver left on the grid currently on a hot lap who can still gain a position is Spooky. I say that as now he drifts into the corner, and unfortunately that's it. That is the end for qualifying. So we had a very interesting qualifying. At the very start it was quite slow, quite quiet. But then towards the middle pit in the end, we had Shanae and Ludwig with the matching times for pole position, and then Uzbi and Vish just comes out of nowhere and smashes those timings out of the water. Noah Ackerman is the name. Noah Ackerman and Andrew are the two names to be quite surprised by, because they are two drivers who are very quick in all races previous to this one, and I guess Kyalami in the night is just not their. It's not their race, not their track. For they find themselves in 9th and 11th respectively. Andrew with a 1:42.4 and Ackerman with a 1:42.6. So very, very uncharacteristically slow, but I trust they have very good race pace. We've seen them with incredible race pace in the past, so definitely names to keep an eye on. They will certainly climb the ranks. I can't imagine that they won't be. We do have some penalties to be served, if it will allow me to. There we go. If I have a quick look over at Discord, I can let you know what penalties we have. We do have some drive-throughs and whatnot to serve. Matthias, number 26. I do not believe he is racing this afternoon. But we've got Matthias number 26, with a drive-through and a stop-go penalty for 30 seconds. Andrea Falzetti, number 37, who additionally is also not here. No, Andrea Falzetti is here. He's in the Ferrari. There he is. He is here with a drive-through. Bosgato, number 77, with a drive-through. Rad with a number 34 with a drive-through, and Nicholas Zan. I'm not sure the driver number, unfortunately. Also with a drive-through. There we go. Now the drive-throughs will be slowly allocated to the drivers who are here. So I believe Andrea Falzetti is the only driver here for this race session. Got a little bit of music on. It is very quiet now as we wait for everyone to get ready for the session. 3 minutes for people to get themselves organized and ready for the race. The 90 minutes around Kyalami will also require the drivers to pit at least once. Drivers, you can see to the right of their name, to the right of their car numbers, that number indicates the number of pit stops they have left remaining to serve before the end of this race. So for the drivers that we can see, every single one of them, of course, because this is the start of the race, are still yet to serve their pit stop. The pit stops are limited to 25 seconds, regardless of what you change. The only difference, the only change in your time will be if you have additional damage to your car, or if you're looking to change your tires, which will add an additional 5 seconds. Otherwise, flat out, everything else will be 25 seconds. So whilst to some extent it can potentially cut some of the competition and the driving, but it certainly will also open the door to further drivers from the back of the grid to climb their way up and fight for the lead of this race. It has been done before. I don't remember which race, but we have had a driver or two manage to use the pit stop as a window of opportunity for them to climb the grid, and they do it very well. So, you know, it's definitely out there as something possible for these drivers to do. For this 90-minute race, I believe we will have... I think it will be a very short formation lap, not a full formation lap, as we'll have 90 minutes of racing. We'll be able to check out some of the liveries. Unfortunately, I had to rush to try and get the stream sorted out this afternoon, so I do apologize now in advance for those who are looking back on the stream, or if you're waiting for the race to begin, you've tuned in. I do apologize now if perhaps I've missed a livery or two here and there. I looked at the app and I've missed two new liveries. So unfortunately, there are two drivers who might be driving today without a livery on show for the stream. I apologize, there isn't much else I could do for that. If it does turn out to be a full formation lap and I have my information wrong, I will be open to restarting my game just to get the new liveries, but it'll entirely depend on that full formation lap. Ah, there we go. Thank you for the flashing of the lights, Vish. There you go. Everyone's now underway. Now, it is a night race. Drivers, for example, here we got Ludwig here, will have to turn on his lights. The game will give a warning if you do not turn on your front lights within a certain number of laps. Or very slow into the second sector. We do have a full formation lap, so actually if you give me a moment, I will update the liveries as they go through the second sector, and I will get those liveries updated, so please bear with me as I get this updated. I've said updated about 7 times there, I apologize. Let's restart the game and get those liveries on, because I would love to see what people have on show for us. Of course, we've got the Ferraris, we've got Oosby, Team Piston, Team Rocket, Team Diamond. So we have a lot of different teams, and I would hate to then be the one to then lose sight of those beauties. What is Shanae's pilot in the game? What do you mean by what is Shanae's pilot? If he wins the race, you have to put on the Golden Hour song. That's if Shanae wins the race, though. I haven't seen the man win the race in a little while. I don't think he's won this season, to be honest. That's no good. There we go, we're back in. And we've joined right on time for the session. If it will pop up, there it is.
Green light.
And a green light, away we go. I managed to join the session just in time. And there we go. Vish in the lead of the race still. But Oosby very close behind. That is 7 cars wide nearly. That is very worrying to see. But there we go. Around the first corner. It looks very clean almost. We do have a couple yellow flags. I say that. There is a massive first corner collision. Haki, Mendez, Kelly, Hernandez, Falzetti, a few drivers all involved in a massive car collision at the very start of this race. Let's see now, they're all crossing the timing sheets, so in game you will see then it will all update. With Vish still in the lead of this race. Unfortunately, quite a few drivers have had a massive incident at the start of this race.
The pit is now open.
There it is, the pit window is open. Although there is no technical pit window, it is set to start 60 seconds after the start of the race, just so then we can control when it will open. Now there we see Ludwig with an inside move. Now takes 4th place from Han. Still very close behind. Very close pack. Whilst there was a first lap incident, still all very tight. 1 second between everyone, as we've got a driver there going very wide and off the track. I believe that's Dimitro, sorry, going very wide and off the track there, as now Han dives into the pits. I can't catch up to him for potential damage. Now crossing the line to finish the first lap. Vish in the lead of the race with a 0.5 second gap to Oosby behind. Fastest lap, provisional fastest lap, of course, is a 1:47.8, with qualifying being a 1:40.2, I believe it was, or 1:40.9, sorry. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, 1:40.8. 1:40.9, With a yellow flag with Noah Ackerman in the wall. What has happened here? Noah Ackerman, number 23 there in that purple livery for Team Rocket. Comes out of the corner. Unfortunately, his tires just dip into the grass there and he loses control of his car. Ackerman now, I would not be surprised to see if Ackerman does have a lot of damage to that car. But he certainly will then have to pit with another yellow flag. We've got Dimitri in the Ferrari there. He's also gone off. Let's have a look. Oh, just climbs onto the curb, loses all control of his car, and unfortunately spins out off of the track. He does lose quite a few positions, but slight donut there, possibly trying to regain control of his car. Fortunately, manages to keep it out of the wall very cleanly, out of the wall. Shanae is the BMW driver. Shanae is Philip Ferlinski. I know Philip is his name. And I know that he's requested to change his car number to 1. So 2 and 2 together. This is Shanae. He has been a resident BMW driver, I think, for the past 2, maybe 3 seasons now. Maybe even since the start of the ACC League with Phoenix, to be honest. Now, just in this second lap, now into this third lap, we're starting to see huge gaps forming. Spinner, unfortunately, losing 2 positions there. He's now fighting alongside with, I believe, that is Mendez on the outside. Very close between the 2 McLarens there, but unfortunately, Alexander with the inside line does maintain the position gain from Jake. We have a fairly close battle. 4 cars all fighting. Yellow flag at the back there for Jose. Hopefully he's managed to drive off without damage. Falzetti, I believe, Falzetti's now pitted. He's served his stop-go penalty for 30 seconds. So Falzetti now starts this race with 54 seconds to the pack ahead of him. We'll have to hope and see what he can do. Of course, we do have those mandatory pit stops still to go. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Uzbi currently lapping 6/100ths of a second slower than Vish ahead of him. And Shanae lapping just 6/10ths slower than Uzbi ahead of him. So certainly a massive gap now starting to form between the pack leader, race leader, and the rest of the grid. It's going to be a yellow flag there for Alexander. Very close battle here. We've got Kelly and Konos currently fighting each other. McLaren versus Ferrari for 9th place. So far, Kelly has managed to make the position gain ahead of James, who's now under pressure from Andy behind in that Audi. He's been racing the Audi for the past couple seasons at least. He clearly thoroughly loves that car, considering a lot of drivers decided to jump ship to the Ferrari. Let's see what Andy can do in that Audi. Potentially fight and take that position in 10th place from James. Last lap, 1 second, 1.9 seconds slower than James. We'll have to see now into this next sector. Couple of spins here and there. It is quite a difficult track as it is in the daytime, so then to slap it into the night will be quite tough for a lot of these drivers, but I trust that they have the driver skill to be able to manage it. it is a long race. It is 90 minutes. There's still another 88 minutes to go. So a lot can still happen. We'll have to see how they manage now as we see Dimitri fighting Spooky for 12th place. He gets the position around the outside, but Spooky's still there to fight. Unfortunately, though, Dimitri manages to get a much better exit. Oh, sorry, Spooky. It's not updated. No, I got it right. There he is, Ackerman now up in position, up into 16th place. He once was about 6 seconds back when he had to pit. And I think he potentially repaired all of that damage now as he is lapping 144s. He's lapping what positions 6 through to 8 are doing currently. So he certainly has the pace now. We'll have to see now what can he do as he climbs the pack. 1.3 seconds behind Hacky ahead of him. And here's a gap to the leader. 33 seconds, so he's got a lot of work to get to the top of this timing sheet. As Oosby now sets the fastest lap of the session, a 1:41.4. Now just 5 laps in, and he's managed to cut that gap down. He's lapping 3/10 quicker than Vish ahead of him. He's now half a second behind the leader of this race. Will Oosby now lead the race? If he manages to make this move stick, this is going to be a very close battle. These are two very consistent, very fast drivers fighting at the top here. They have a 2-second cushion behind them to Philip. Down into 3rd place. So what will happen between the two of them, 3/10 down now, is rapidly closing down. As there it is, unfortunately, I did not get to see it there. Go back perhaps about 30 seconds. We did see, yep, there we go. We'll be able to see Andrew Taggart in the BMW be able to make the move on the McLaren ahead of him and take 10th place from James. They were both under pressure. The Audi there was heavily under pressure from Dimitri behind in that Ferrari. But there is the move down the inside. James managed to defend the outside, which meant the Ferrari could not take the position as well. And now Andy up into 10th place as James now loses the position to that Ferrari. There it is. Unfortunately, did not get to see that one. But now James is down 2 positions in the space of 1 lap alone. I said it before, but Ackerman is definitely a driver to keep an eye on. He's now half a second down. He's managed to cut that gap down by 1.2 seconds to the driver ahead of him. He's flashing his lights. He's half a second quicker on the last lap to Hacky ahead of him. Can Ackerman get the position, get the move done before he's going for a move? He's trying to go around the outside. We can see it now in this passenger point of view. You've got the driver on the inside there. But Hacky now loses out, and Ackerman now up into 15th place. A very good move, very clean move by the McLaren driver. Team Rocket certainly will be proud of that, as now he moves his way up the order. He's got 2 seconds now to Spooky ahead of him. Currently lapping 2.3 seconds quicker on the last lap to Spooky ahead of him. So we'll have to see what he can do. As there's a yellow flag for Spinner. Spinner, what has happened here? Unfortunately, he has now left the session, so that will be the end of the race for him. as we have our first group of lapping cars. Philip managing to get past Andrea Falzetti, currently sitting in 20th place. Falzetti, of course, unfortunately had a drive-through and a stop-go penalty to serve, so he does have a lot of work ahead of him to fight his way back up. And here we've got Dmitry Samsonov, I hope I pronounced that right, in the Ferrari. He's trying to go for a move around the outside on the McLaren. He's trying to make a move in the same corner that we previously saw Ackerman make a move. He's got a very good exit on the driver, Audi driver ahead of him, apologies. I'm not sure if my game started there, but it looks like there was a light tap between the two cars. Hopefully no damage occurred between the two of them. But a very good move by the Ferrari man, now up into 10th place. Oh no, Jakob, no! That is horrible to happen. You can still join back. I do believe we have mid-session join enabled. I'm just not sure how that works. So you should be able to join back, assuming it works as simple as F1. But of course there's no AI to drive for you. Is it not? I guess I can't read, Jakob. I guess my ability to read is just not there, not here with me today. Side-by-side racing again into the same corner. This second sector is getting a lot of action today as James is now under pressure from Dimitro behind. He's got that, I believe that's a Porsche. He's got the inside line there. He's very close. They're going too wide now. Fortunately, James does have the pace to be able to keep going and keep that position ahead of him. Jakob, I believe otherwise. I think you have the ability to race. I would honestly blame the track conditions for this race. It's Kyalami in night. The Kyalami is already stressful enough as it is. To just add an extra, level of stress and put it in under the lights of the moon, kind of not a great combination, if you ask me. Ackerman now 1.3 seconds behind Dimitri, closing in quite quickly to his teammate ahead, who is just 1.5 seconds ahead of Ackerman. So Usby, who once was rapidly catching up. Well, actually, before I say that, we've got Dimitri going for a move. He's gone for the inside line, gone late on the brakes, leaving space for the two of them. James, unfortunately, now loses the position to Dimitri. To Dimitro. It was a long time coming. James defended beautifully, but unfortunately has now lost out and is now under pressure, or soon to be under pressure, to his teammate Ackerman now. Half a tenth up, 0.8 seconds behind his teammate, and he's closing that gap down very quickly. I can't imagine James holding Ackerman up at all in the duration of this race. He is, after all, lapping exactly 2 seconds quicker than James ahead of him. So we'll have to see, when will James let him through, or are they going to fight for this position? Doesn't look as though James is going to move out of the way. I mean, they've had quite a few opportunities up and down this straight. But James Konos is not getting out of the way for his teammate close behind. I say that now. They're going to go too wide. It looked like Ackerman was going to try and go for a move down the inside. Where is James? What's happened to James there? James has gone off onto the runoff area, and unfortunately, I don't think was looking to give up that position so easily, but they were very clean with it, and now Ackerman is closed in to 0.7 seconds behind Dimitro ahead of him. We have a yellow flag slightly further back. We've got Spooky spun off the road coming around the corner. Does he get into a collision with another driver? It doesn't appear as though he does. Oh, there it is, the killer curb that I have been waiting for a few drivers to hit. I'm not saying I hoped for this. Let me clarify, I was not hoping to see drivers spin out because of that curb, but I was not going to be surprised if it happened. It is a very treacherous curb for people to drive around. I do distinctly remember many times myself practicing around the track and finding myself sideways or off of the track because of that curb. Now here comes Ackerman, 0.1. He was 0.1 of a second behind, attempting for a move down the inside. Unfortunately, not close enough to be able to make it stick. This will go on. And actually going back to the top of the sheets, we've got Oosby all over the gearbox. Or is that the gearbox? No, the gearbox for the Lamborghini would be at the front of the car, I think. All over the rear bumper of the driver ahead of him. We do have a yellow flag here for Cthulhu. I think Cthulhu has also fallen victim to the track limits. Oh, sorry, to the curb. Yep, there it is. Two drivers actually going over that curb. And unfortunately, having a bit of a moment coming around that final corner. Apologies for that. There we go. But in the span of 30 seconds, there are very few fights going on. We have a yellow flag for James. What's happened for James now? Not even near the curb of death. Coming around the corner, uphill left-hander, just losing control of the car, unfortunately. A light bump to the wall. He has managed to maintain relative control of his car, so he managed to keep it out of the wall quite well. But he is now down to 16th place. Very few fights on the screens, though. We've got Oosby still 0.4 seconds behind. He is pushing it. Currently, his last lap was 4/100ths of a second quicker than Vish ahead of him. He is rapidly closing that gap down, but he hasn't managed to make that move, and it's now 12 laps into this race. We still have 69 minutes to go in this race. And Oosby is still very close, trailing behind Vish ahead. Slightly further back, we've got Andrew Taggart in that Audi, following behind another Audi of Cthulhu, who recently spun coming round that right-hander with that massive curb on it. Apologies, I don't know the corner name. But it is a very close battle for the Audis and a close battle for the lead of the race at the moment. For I think a lot of the drivers, no, only 2 drivers have been lapped. So it's not a matter of lapping cars. It's a matter of just, it's a treacherous track and people are starting to have gaps form up ahead and around them. I am very sorry, folks. I had to look away from my screen for just a mere moment there, and now Oosby is in the lead of this race, lapping last lap 0.2 quicker than Vish, and is now half a second ahead of Vish, already starting to form a bit of a gap to the driver behind. If I jump back 60 seconds, no, Oosby is still ahead. So unfortunately, more than a minute ago, they had a change in order and I did not spot it, and I hugely apologize for this. But car 63 is now the driver in second place, as car number 29 for Oosby is in first. As a yellow flag. End the replay. Show me the yellow flag. There is a yellow flag for Vish, who is rapidly losing time. What's happened to Vish? And Vish is in the pits. Vish was very close to Oosby for the fighting back in the lead of this race. He was still half a second back. Oh no, and coming out of the corner, Vish, his car's just dipping into the grass there. And now after colliding just constantly, wall after wall, moment after moment, is hitting the wall and is now out of this race. Vish is gone. Now the lead of the race is Oosby's with a 3-second gap to the driver behind. Philip in second place, currently setting a 1:41.66. That is 0.4 quicker than Oosby ahead of him, and Ludwig in third place, in third place, 7 seconds back, lapping about half a second behind from what Shanae is setting, about 1/10 slower than Oosby. Actually, Oosby now with a 1:41.5, so Shanae is 7/10 off the pace from what Oosby is currently setting in laps, with Ludwig just 2/10 behind, and Andrew just 5/10 behind Ludwig. So the top four now all 16-second gaps. Oosby pits. If he pits, he will only lose 3 positions, with each pit only being 25 seconds. We see Cthulhu unfortunately coming off the road, staying very clear of the racing line and letting the other drivers through. Cthulhu just losing the rear end, unfortunately. And now we are down to 18 drivers. We started with 22, if I remember correctly, and now we are down to just 18 drivers. Though it says 17 in the game. Because Falsetti is a lap behind, so he needs to catch up. He needs to get past to update it on my timing screen as 17 drivers. Sorry to see that message so late, Rowan, but I think the lights on the cars, they probably would add a lot of stress if you see that from behind you. Because then you'd not only be focusing on how do I attack the corner, how do I improve my time, you then focus on, oh, there's a car behind me, how am I going to be able to attack the corners with great precision, but equally defend from the cars behind. So, no, I completely agree. It can be quite stressful. Though I think much of the stress around this track is more about the corners that we have. But now it is a very quiet race. We've got Oosby about 13 seconds off of the next driver to be lapped. And the closest fight on the screens, we've got Cthulhu about just outside of 1 second to, I believe that is Dimitro just ahead of him in the Lamborghini. Cthulhu setting last lap about a tenth off of the pace of the driver ahead of him. He certainly is now starting to close that gap this lap. Few bumps there on the outside of that track there. As we now lose another driver in this race, down to 16 left on the track. Mentioned previously, Ackerman, who started the race and unfortunately had a bit of an incident, he did receive quite a bit of damage. It seems as though that hitting to fix that has certainly done the trick. He's now up into 10th place. He's 0.6 seconds behind Andrew Taggart ahead of him. He is lapping about 1.8 seconds quicker than Andrew ahead of him. So what will Noah Ackerman do here now with 0.6 seconds, 0.5 seconds dividing him to 9th place? Best lap for Andrew was a 1:43.4. Best lap for Ackerman was a 1:42.8. So overall, Ackerman definitely setting faster lap times than Taggart ahead of him. And it is currently one of the closest battles we have, as Andrew now sets a new personal best, a 1:43.45, as Ackerman only improves, he doesn't improve his personal best, but he certainly improves his lap time compared to Andrew ahead, still lapping around about 1.5 tenths quicker. Perhaps we will see a move very soon now, as Ackerman is all over there. There it is. Ackerman with his flashing. He's marking his territory to say, I want this position. He's almost pushing that Audi ahead of him now. And we've lost yet another driver. I believe that was Andrea Falzetti, to left the server now, down to 15 drivers left on the grid. Ackerman, whilst he is very close, he unfortunately is not as close as he is once hoped. As Ackerman around the corner, the one curb that is very tall, too tall, just ruins that gap that he once had. You can see he attacked the curb. Unfortunately, he attacked it far too much, and that curb just really offset the balance of his car, and into the gravel he went. He lost about 1.5 seconds, just over 1 second in that little tussle with the curb. Now half a second. He lost half a second. There we go. Timing sheets have decided to update for me to the driver ahead of him. So now he's got some time to work on, and hopefully no damage to his car from that incident. As James is now pitting, I think James is the first, other than Han, he is the first driver to now serve their pit stop. And that's James. Oh, James was not in his... James is trying to find his pit stop. Oh, no! James could not find where his stop was, as we have another yellow flag for Dimitro in that Porsche. Perhaps another incident where just the car was unsettled coming out of the corner. Yep, a small dip into the grass, and that was the rear end of the car lost. Fortunately, keeping control of his car and maintaining... keeping his car out of the wall, he only loses one position, but still keeps his car going. Now James, I believe, now exiting the pits. It'll be quite close between him and Han, but I think Han might have taken the position from James from that little confusion as to where his pit box is. And there it is, James coming out of the pits, and Han now gaining a position up into 14th place. It will soon be updated on the timing screens for the stream. We have a bit of a battle going on ahead. We've got two Ferraris going side by side, number 91 and number 422. We've got Dimitri and Kelly going side by side now into the second sector, but Dimitri, with that outside line and better corner control, manages to maintain the position. But Kelly is not done yet. He is almost pushing that car ahead. He is just 2/10 behind, and Ackerman 1/10 behind Andrew. All over again. It is this battle once again. Is he going to make a move, or is he going to maintain the position? He's got a lot of work to do in the next hour to try and climb his way up to the podium positions. Have a look now. We're in the passenger view. He's gonna go for it. No, he's not. He was tempted by the move. Had a brilliant exit there, but unfortunately Andrew, with not quite getting his foot on the pedal, Ackerman having to back out of that one, slam the brakes to avoid a collision. Certainly is not holding it back though. He needs to make this move as soon as he can. He's got 53 minutes to go left in this race. He attacks that curb beautifully and does not unsettle his car. Now into the final corner. Can he get the move done this lap? He needs it done because he needs to start climbing away. He's about a minute behind the leader of this race, and with still a 25-second at the very least pit stop to serve for his mandatory pit stop, he has got a long way to go. Thank you, Webby. Thank you for informing me that you love my voice. We see Ackerman still very close to Taggart ahead of him, but just not quite. He's not quite getting the exits that he might have wanted on some of these corners. He's close enough to make the move, but the man for dive bombs is not looking to make one just yet. This is now the closest battle. The next close battle, we've got Kelly 1.5 seconds back from Dimitri ahead of him. Dimitri now, who once passed him around about 3 laps ago, 2 to 3 laps ago. driving very carefully through those final few corners. He already had that right-hander, that massive curb, upset him and his car once already. So now it is a matter of endurance. How far can he go and keep it steady until the driver ahead of him makes a mistake, or he finds an opportunity to make the move. Now half a second back, just outside of a second. In fact, he's lost quite a bit of time in that third sector. Thank you, Evie. I have, what does that say? Sure? Why have you just spammed sure? You're a very special man, Webby. I hope you know this. I can tell he's bored. I can tell. I mean, I can tell you're bored as well, Ollie. Imagine not joining me for the ACC commentary. Yeah, and you got a briefing to do as well. Good luck with that. But it has gotten very quiet now. Ackerman 1.7 seconds behind Andrew Taggart ahead of him. So this will be a race. This will be a battle for 9th place to go on for a while. 49 minutes remaining, and only 2 drivers have pitted. We had James pitting, I believe it was 2 or 3 laps ago. I might be able to see that information. Let's have a look. I can't see, but James and Han having, only pitted a few laps ago. Han, I think, pitted towards the very start of this race. But James pitting not too long ago. Afternoon, Matt. How are you doing, mate? Welcome to the ACC stream. Very quiet race now. It is down to the pits to see what are people going to go for. Agreed, actually, yeah. Webby's right. It is morning. Definitely not 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sorry, in the morning. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed the open lobbies. I hope to see you around. Tiers 1, 2, and 3 for F1 22 are streamed. So if you're racing in one of those leagues, you'll be able to see yourself pop up on the stream. Go on board with Andrew here, currently sitting in 4th place, number 777. 6 seconds back. We've actually got a yellow flag if we go towards the back of the grid. We had a yellow flag out for Spooky, and he is still just off of the track there. Go back 30 seconds. Comes out of the corner quite well, actually. I think it was a corner, yep, just coming through that downhill right-hander. His car gets quite unsettled. Unfortunately, he spins out and goes off of the track. And that is it for Spooky. We've also now lost Spooky from this race. Now we go with Oosby currently leading the race, 3.8 seconds to the driver behind. Philip currently lapping a 1:41.6, 2/10, exactly 2/10 slower than Oosby on the last lap. Fastest lap still goes to Uzbi with a 1:41.065. 25 laps in, and we are now reaching the halfway mark. It's going to be a 50-lap race, and I hope that there will be some excitement. We do have, in that moment when we were looking at that replay, unfortunately we missed Ackerman diving in the pits. He once was fighting Andrew Taggart in 9th place. He was about 2 seconds back from the Audi driver. He is now down into 12th place, sitting 44 seconds to the leaders ahead of him. 44, that can't be right. But he's 51 seconds behind 11th place. Tier 2, I myself, I am the, as we have, sorry to change conversation again, but we've got Philip now into the pit, so that's Shanae serving his mandatory pit stop. Now with 45 minutes to go, he will come out around 5th place, if the maths is right, as we have Chris and Joel Carling also going into the pits. And now BMW, Ferrari in the pits. Philip, I believe, will maintain position more or less. He comes out in 5th place now, just 2.5 seconds behind, 3 seconds behind Dimitri, and now Kelly just 3 seconds behind. So Philip, the first of the front runners, have pitted, and Uzbi almost has a free pit stop to Ludwig behind in 2nd place. The stops are 25 seconds, limited to 25 seconds, additional 5 seconds if you change your tires, and an additional however many seconds for the amount of damage that you have. What I was going to say, Matt, was, so I'm the Ferrari team principal for F1, and unfortunately one of my tier 2 drivers will not be able to make it this weekend, tomorrow afternoon, for the race, as he has an exam. So if you would like to reserve for Ferrari tomorrow for tier 2, you are more than welcome to. Just click on Healer for the attendance bot in the attendance channel. Sorry, click on Healer for the tier 2 message, and I can note you down to reserve for Ferrari. So we now have Ludwig and Andrew now in the pits. Dimitri up to 4th place. I believe will soon be promoted into 2nd place after these drivers are still in the pits and Dimitri gets past them. So now this is when we're seeing a lot of the drivers starting to pit. Uzbi will have a massive advantage now. He will have a free pit stop of a whole minute. He could easily do 2 pit stops and still be comfortably in the lead. That is on the 22 game. We're racing around Canada this weekend. So a lot of fun with a incredibly badly built game. But it's still fun. You can still have your fun moments. As we see Chris, and I believe that is Dimitro fighting for 8th place. Dimitro currently 5 tenths behind. And slightly further ahead, Ludwig now coming out of the pits, with Andrew very close behind, having also just pitted. So now only 5 drivers remain to pit. As I say that, as Uzbi is now in the pits, and Dimitri, 53 seconds behind, will not take the lead of this race. And Uzbi will certainly maintain the lead of this race. Now 0.5 seconds splitting Andrew and Ludwig. Both of them just pitting last lap, and he is rapidly closing in now. We'll have to see, though. They're coming into the hairpin in the 2nd sector. Once they cross the line, we will have an accurate idea as to what kind of times they are setting. as Dimitri now pits. So Philip is promoted back up into second place. Kelly also now pits, so Ludwig will be promoted up into third place momentarily. Or, sorry, not momentarily, in a moment. There it is now, Ludwig up into third place, and Andrew up into fourth place. And with that pit stop, we've got Philip 0.4 seconds behind Oosby. I thought they would be safe, but perhaps Oosby needed a longer pit stop than I thought. Either that or my maths is horribly wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the latter. But now there is a risk, or there is a fight for the lead of this race between Philip, our champion from last season, and Oosby, our champion from the season before that. Who is going to lead this race, and who is going to cross the line with a race victory as Ludwig receives a drive-through? That will be a huge loss for him, for he was currently on line to get a podium, and now he's got Andrew just behind, Cthulhu, Chris, Dimitri, all so close behind, and that drive-through is going to be a huge loss. And unfortunately, if you do not serve your drive-through, I believe it's about 50 seconds that gets slapped onto your timing, onto your race time at the end of it. So it'd be a very unfortunate. But here we see we've got Joel fighting for position with Dimitri ahead of him in the Porsche, almost going for the dive move, dive move. You know what, I'm sticking with that, with the dive move. He's very close. He's almost pushing that Porsche along. Fortunately, not quite close enough. He's got the inside line and he's sticking to it. I think he's going for the move down the inside, leaving enough space between the two of them, but the Porsche is just ahead enough to maintain position. And there is another car into this fight, and here comes Dimitri with that Ferrari, saying, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this scrap that you two are having ahead of me. So now Dimitri is up into 8th place, and Carnelling has unfortunately lost a position when trying to attack to gain a position. And there it is, we've got Dimitri into the pits now. Back to that drive-through though for Ludwig. Drive-throughs can only be received by track limit. So if a driver exceeds track limits enough times, they will receive a drive-through penalty. A stop-go penalty, however, can only be received if you are caught speeding into the pit lane. So unfortunately, Ludwig pushed the track limit one too many times and has now lost an opportunity to get a podium finish. He's opted to not stop just yet. I can't imagine why. Perhaps the only reason would be he believes that he can keep going with his drive-through and be able to build a gap enough as a bit of a cushion before having to serve it. Of course, you'll lose about 35, 40 seconds in a pit stop. Maybe even 50 would make sense for Oosby to then still have Sinead right on his tail. See, that's where I got my maths wrong. So, whilst the pit stop is 25 seconds, that doesn't account for the fact that it takes you about 10 seconds or 7 seconds to get into the pits, into your pit box, and then probably another 10 seconds on top of that to start your engine, leave your pit box, get to the pit exit, and then start to accelerate and increase your pace to get out of the pits. So that's where my math is horribly wrong, and Oosby was not 2 pit stops ahead of everyone else. And we have another fight now. We got Han and Dimithro, who just recently pit. And there's a yellow flag. Why did the camera have to switch there? But a yellow flag for Han there. What happened there between the two drivers? I think they might have had a collision there. Number 6 and number 39. It did seem like maybe not enough space was left between the two of them. Number 39 managed to drive off, and Han now stopping on the side of the road, and I think this might be the end of his race. Number 82, I believe that will be Ludwig. He has now served his drive-through, coming out of the pits. Finds himself down in 14th place. He's got 15 seconds to try and cut that gap down in 35 minutes to try and fight for a podium position, as Cthulhu now decides to opt to serve his mandatory pit stop. The only driver to have kept it for this long, now down to 8th place, and I imagine will soon now be 9th and potentially 10th, depending on how much damage he might have to repair. As now Andrew Taggart and Noah Ackerman come out of the pits ahead of Cthulhu, now up into 9th and 10th place. Boosby with a new fastest lap, a 1:41.0, with Shanae lapping now 8/10 slower than him. Oosby now very much setting it in stone that this is his race, and Philip will not catch up. Still 35 minutes to go. Shanae is not a driver to rule out, though, very easily for race victories. Of course, we've had many good battles in the past. I think the best battle we had, which was the same battle where unfortunately he disconnected. He was leading the race, and poof, his car disconnects, and the game does not permit him for rejoining the session. So unfortunately, Shanae went from winning the race to losing it all due to connection issues. Don't fall asleep, folks, because we still have 33 minutes of the race. Exciting race around Kyalami. How's everyone doing today? Might as well have a conversation with you guys whilst there is a very quiet track with very few to no battles. As Philip now sets a new personal best, and so does Andrew behind. Shanae 3/10 quicker than Oosby ahead, and Andrew, unfortunately, still 4/10 slower than Oosby ahead. And now we're down to 13 drivers. We have lost another driver, unfortunately. I only just saw the name disappear. I did not see who it was exactly. But that is now the 8th driver to have disconnected this race so far. Every driver, I believe, in the top 20 will be scoring points, and so now 7 drivers have disconnected with the loss of possibility of points. Which is quite unfortunate to see. Nonetheless, though, we still have 13 drivers, still have quite a competitive battle for the lead of the race. Now 3 seconds splitting the pair of them, and Ackerman just 2 seconds behind Andrew Taggart still. Apologies for the lack of comms, but there is very little going on the track. I think the closest battle now, we've got Ackerman closing in 2.2 seconds behind. Andrew and Ludwig setting new personal bests of 142.4 and 141.5. So Ludwig definitely putting in the time that he needs to try and catch up. But he's only got 29 minutes remaining, so he has got a very small window of time to catch up. So we'll have to see how he does. And I believe Andrew Taggart might have made a mistake now, because Noah Ackerman is now 0.5 seconds behind. In the matter of like 20 seconds of saying that they are catching and it is very quiet, they are now very close to one another yet again. Are we going to see a move finally made? Ackerman, after a very tough race, has now found himself at the back end of Taggart's car yet again. This is probably the third or maybe even fourth time that Ackerman has had to stare at the back of that Audi. Will this be the first time that the Audi will have to stare at the back of that McLaren? Certainly closing in that gap. Trying to go for a move. He looked to the outside, looks to the inside. He's not quite close enough. to stay on board with him for just another half a lap longer. Are we going to see a move be made? We do have, I believe that's a lapping car behind Ackerman. We've got Philip right behind. They have to get out of the way, let Philip through. Hopefully not lose him much time on the track, but it certainly will help Ackerman close that gap down, as Andrew will have to either defend or attack the driver behind. There goes Andrew, hot on the brakes. And now Ackerman very close to the McLaren man. Sorry, to the McLaren man. To the Audi man ahead of him. Can he capitalize on the lapping of Philip Chenet? Sorry, Philip Verlinski. Can Ackerman now be in a position to fight and take this position? Going too wide now into this second sector. Oh, sorry, towards the end of the sector into the third sector. They do have a bit of a tap between the two of them, but they've kept it very clean between the two of them thus far. He's again almost pushing that car ahead of him. Jump back onto his bumper or into the passenger seat. He's getting very close. Don't give us a view of the driver. Lapping just a tenth, just over a tenth quicker. Looks like Andrew might have made a mistake there slightly. Mounting the curb, had to snap right. Slightly, let's go on board with him and see how he's taking these cars, these corners, these cars. I think there might have been some flashing of the lights there. Ackerman must be getting very frustrated at this point. He has been looking, he's been staring at that rear end of the car for such a long time. Can we see a change in order? And now this fight has gone on for so long. Cthulhu is now into this fight. It is now a Audi sandwich. Sorry, well, no. It's a McLaren sandwich with Audis for the bread. So not only does Ackerman have to apply pressure to the driver ahead, he has to apply pressure to the driver behind. He goes for a move around the outside, going too wide into the final corner. Ackerman managed to maintain the position. He's still going almost side by side with Andrew ahead of him. And across the line, Andrew with the better pace down this main straight. Andrew maintains the lead in this battle, and Cthulhu still just behind, half a second back. Getting very close between the two of them. Oh, sorry, between the three of them. we now approach a lapping car. I believe that will be James Konos, teammate to Noah Ackerman. Although there are no team orders when it comes to blue flags, could they try and make this work in their advantage and follow the rules? James will have to stay in a very predictable manner for the overtaking cars. It's then down to the overtaking cars to proceed with the overtake as cleanly as they can. There's James going for a very wide line. There goes Ackerman going too wide and almost colliding into the back of Andrew Taggart there. And Cthulhu getting very close to James as well. Now the three of them, the trio, are past the lapped car. Can Ackerman close this gap down? He's got 20 minutes remaining. This is the only battle we have on the track. Who is going to come out ahead of one another after these 20 minutes are up? Ackerman now 0.7 behind, Cthulhu 0.5 behind. Ackerman now fighting with Cthulhu. Cthulhu fighting with Ackerman for 10th place. Cthulhu with the inside line. They're going too wide. There is a bit of a tap, a bit of a contact between the two drivers, but Cthulhu now ahead up into 10th place. Ackerman losing a position when actually he should be gaining the positions. Very unfortunate so far for the McLaren driver. Now Cthulhu 2.2 seconds behind Andrew, Ackerman 0.5 seconds behind, and Dimitri up ahead in a massive Ferrari sandwich. We've got 5 cars, all Ferraris from 4th to 8th. And Dimitri, the only one closest to fight another, is there's a yellow flag. There was a yellow flag for a moment there, and Ackerman is in the pits. Oh. So Ackerman now has come out of the pits. And my game is stuttering slightly. I think we've just lost another driver as Ackerman receives a stop-go penalty for 30 seconds. If this race could not get any worse for Ackerman, it does now. For speeding into the pit lane, Ackerman now will have to serve a stop-go penalty in the next 16.5 minutes of this race. Very, very unfortunate for the Team Rocket driver. Both Team Rocket drivers, unfortunately, in 11th and 13th place. Do have the replay here for drivers 23 and 75. Cthulhu having a a snap, fortunately. And I think that might have, that will be what forced Ackerman to dive into the pits, trying to avoid an accident with Cthulhu. Ackerman now serving his stop-go penalty. No one is talking here. It is a very quiet race. There's practically nothing happening on the track. So unfortunately, there isn't very much I can talk about, other than, I don't know, I don't actually know, I don't actually know any fun facts. So I don't even have any, I don't even have any fun facts to share with everyone. No, it's gone very quiet very quickly. So unfortunately, there isn't that much going on. Just a very quiet race. I mean, Oosby was fighting for the lead with Vish at the very start. Unfortunately, Vish had a bit of a moment after dipping his tyres into the grass, which lost him the fight for the lead of the race, which then he disconnected from that. But a few drivers have a few collisions. We had a massive first lap incident as well. So a lot has happened. It has been quite interesting, but unfortunately now it's gone to that point where it's very quiet. It does look as though we've got a lot of fights on the track. Unfortunately, though, a lot of these drivers are currently having to fight for position. Oh, sorry, overtake lapping cars. There you got Chris flashing with the Porsche ahead of him, who is a lapped car. Fastest lap still goes to Gooseby with a 1:40.0. Unfortunately, Philip, aka Sinead, does set a 1:41.9, but I believe that was an invalidated lap. Unfortunately, he does not steal that fastest lap. Altosis, he, at the very start of the race, unfortunately, in terms of qualifying, he only qualified 10th fastest. Oh no, he qualified 11th. And then coming out of one of the corners, he dabbled with the, what was it? I think he lightly tapped into the grass out of the corner and unfortunately lost the car. I believe he received damage to the front of his car, so when he had to pit, he had to repair that damage. So that is why he is so far down. And then he had to dive into the pits again to avoid an accident that occurred just in front of him. So unfortunately, Ackerman, who is usually one to always keep an eye on for fighting at the top of the grid, is now down in 12th place, just ahead of his teammate James Konos, the other driver in the duo for Team Rocket. Indeed, very, very unfortunate race so far. Only 13 cars left. We started with 22, so 9 have left so far. It's been a very treacherous race for a lot of drivers. Kyalami is one of those tracks where if you're not careful with how you take a corner, you can find yourself spinning out. We have seen quite a few drivers do that so far. Cthulhu being one of them, off the top of my head. The second to final corner is quite a hefty one to get through. The curb on the inside is like half a tire. It's just a very deadly curb, and if you mount that curb, unfortunately, controlling your car is nigh impossible. And if you manage to do it, well done. You've managed to pull off a miracle. I think we've had 4 or 5 drivers go over that curb and completely lose control of their car. So it has been tough. And to make things worse, you've got this track in the nighttime, so it's going to add a lot more stress, unwanted stress. Hi Kevin, how are you? Welcome to ACC. It's very quiet, there's not much going on. Hype it up for 5 minutes left. All right, well, let's see what I can do. I mean, we've got Oosby in the lead. With the fastest lap, a 1:42.0, 49 laps into this race. I reckon it's going to be a 51 lap race. Currently sitting on the fastest lap, a 1:42.3. Just behind him, we got Philip in second place, 12.5 seconds behind, a 42.8. Unfortunately, his fastest lap is just half a second off of the pace to try and beat Oosby for that extra, I believe it's an extra point for ACC. Andrew, who's driven quite well this race, he's managed to drive his way up to 3rd place. He qualified in 9th place, so 6 places gained to finish out the final podium step. And is just under a second over the under the pace, from Oosby's fastest lap. So unfortunately, that is not a extra point. That is not an extra point for him. And Ludwig now 10 seconds behind. He was 12 seconds or 13 seconds behind about 15 minutes ago. Unfortunately, he got a drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits too many times. The way ACC works is if you cross track limits and you do gain a time, you will receive a warning. Receive enough warnings and you will receive a drive-through penalty that you must serve before the end of the race. And so unfortunately, because of that, we have seen Ludwig go from finishing, or potentially finishing 3rd place under pressure by about 3 seconds behind to Andrew behind. And now unfortunately down into 4th place, just about able to cut the gap down. He is 9.5 seconds behind Andrew. But unfortunately not close enough. There's a yellow flag. There's a yellow flag out for Shanae. Shanae's in the middle of the road. He is backwards on the road. He's managed to get his car going. It certainly has lost him a lot of time to Oosby ahead. But I think fortunately though, he's got enough of a cushion behind. He's got 20 seconds behind him. Before Andrew gets even close to threatening his position. Let's have a quick look. Let's go back. 30 seconds was not enough, and I can't jump back further now. So we'll have to look at a later stage to see what has happened. But Shanae, I think, might have just had a bit of a mistake touching into the grass there. Thank you for making things spicy, Shanae. But now the gap to Oosby is 26.6 seconds. That was a very much a heart in the mouth moment, but fortunately, Shanae had a big enough time gap behind him to cushion such a spin and still be able to walk away with little to no worry for a loss of position there. As now as well, Dimitri, he is now the 2nd driver to receive a drive-through penalty during this race. As I mentioned just moments ago, it is for track limits, and now Dimitri will have to serve this before the end of the race, which will promote Chris behind. There he goes into the pits. Chris will be promoted up into 5th place, and potentially Joel Carnelling, number 68 in the Ferrari as well, currently 27 seconds back, potentially could make a position up, though I'm not sure how long a drive-through is. He's certainly halfway. He's just about to cross the line.
The window is now closed.
Pit window's closed, but we're past a minute now, and everyone's served pits. And unfortunately, Joel was not quite close enough. I didn't think he was close enough. But well, it was interesting to see. Now there it is, Oosby on final lap. Well, I think Shanae, whilst even if he didn't have the spin, I think Shanae would have caught up to Oosby. He was definitely catching at one point in this race. I think the main issue is the fact that with the knowledge that you have to then pit, you can push the tires, but you can't push as much as you want. You don't want to risk your tires to burst. You want to keep them in an optimal window for pressure and temperature. Shanae was definitely fighting or in contention for a race victory, but I think it's just not his race, not this track. I've also managed to bite my tongue somehow, so talking is a bit funny. But now, as we go with Oosby, let's go in for a bumper view or a passenger view, lapping a car that is a white car for Dmitry Samsonov, who's just recently served a drive-through penalty, now coming through into the 3rd sector. Coming round, here's the corner that so many have lost their control of their cars, pardon me, and now rounding the final corner, Oosby, having only led this race for about 49 of these laps, or 48 of these laps, now crosses the line to finish it and wins the race with the fastest lap, a 1:40.0. Dimitri as well crosses the line, Ackerman as well, and Dimitro as well. Let's have a look. Lovely, lovely. Love to see the nice collisions between all the drivers at the very end of this race. As we have now the last few coming to the line. Let's put this here. We've got Shanae now coming to the line. Crosses it and finishes in 2nd place. A very good race indeed for the BMW driver there. Next across the line, now coming around the final corner, is Andrew Taggart. He has defended quite well against the other Audi behind him. Cthulhu crosses the line very soon after him. And he's defended as well to... he's also defended quite well to Ackerman, who unfortunately it was not his race at all. Ackerman and James, potentially this will be a race to forget, for it just wasn't their day. I believe next across the line will be Chris. There he is now coming around the final corner. Finishes the race in 5th place. Very good race for the Ferrari man. There was a group of 5 drivers in that middle pack, all Ferraris. Very close to an all Ferrari podium, honestly. But there it is. Lots of drivers lost. We lost Han, Spooky, Falzetti, Haki, Vish, Hernandez, Medvedez, I hope I've pronounced that right, and Jake Spinner, unfortunately, all of them out of this race. But that will not be it. I mean, this is the end of the 4th round. The drivers now will have a week break to recharge and restore their love and their ability to fight for positions in this race. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago I said I'll see you in 2 weeks because I was going away on holiday. But now I'm saying see you in 2 weeks, as after round 4 we have a 1 week break to start off to get ready for the next season. But that will be it for ACC. You just saw the button come up. In fact, we might be able to have an interview. Hold on a minute. I can't end it just yet because we might have an interview. I haven't had an interview in a while for ACC. I'm a little rusty on it. I will have to make this quick because Tier 3 is still going on. So, Shanae, welcome to Commentary Box. I will have to make this interview very quickly because Tier 3 is currently going on and I'm meant to be racing in Tier 3.
Oh my God.
But how was that race for you?
Yeah, I just want to say, for anyone looking to buy a wheel, I would recommend Trustmaster T300. Yeah, unless you have like climate control in your room or it's very cold outside, yeah, I wouldn't recommend.
Perfect.
Yeah,
and what
that's
do you have to
basically
say
what
about...
happened. That's basically what happened for me in this race. Yeah. So yeah, it was so hot that my wheel overheated. It cut off the power by almost 50%, I would say, or something like this.
Oh,
So,
no.
as that wasn't bad enough, it also was inconsistent.
Oh,
So
that's not a lot of fun at all.
yeah, but I'm very disappointed knowing what could have been. I had pretty good pace, but also I don't know what happened with my setup. Yeah, just in free practice was okay, but on first stint, qualifying was too cold, the tires, and the second stint was too hot. And in the race, the left side was too hot and the right side was too cold.
So it just wasn't your day at all.
Yeah, but still happy with P2. Unfortunately, Wish with that spin with damage. Very unfortunate. Very good pace from him, and yeah. But I'm happy with P2. User B had an incredible pace. So yeah.
Right. Well, I unfortunately will have to end the interview there
Yeah.
because I need to get on with Tier 3. Thank you for joining me, Shanae. Thank you for a very exciting race and a bit of a spin there. However,
Yeah.
unfortunate. And I will see you after the season break.
See ya. Thank you.
And that will be it. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in 2 weeks. Unfortunately, there is a 4-hour Monza endurance event next week on the 24th of June. But unfortunately, I am not here all day. So that is another event I will be missing, which is very sad times. But I look forward to seeing what you guys have on show for us for when we come back after the season break. After the season break, the calendar, we will be racing around Zolder for a 60-minute race. So I look forward to seeing you guys on the 1st of July. Until then, I will speak to you guys later.